Hello and welcome to a tutorial by Pixel Reload. This tutorial we're going to be learning how to rig a car in Cinema 4D Release 13. Here's a quick preview of what the result would look like. It's a simple animation using dynamics in Cinema 4D. Now we're going to be using this specific model here that I created earlier. In order for you to get this model, just go onto TurboSquid following the link below. So after clicking on the link in the description, you're going to have a page like this. Click on the Golf Mark 1 here. As you can see, it's completely free, so just click on the download button here and enter your details, your login details. If you don't have a TurboSquid account, just join up. It's free and you can get loads of 3D models. So after the download, open up the download folder and find the Golf Mark 1 Cinema 4D file. Open it up and you should have something like this. Now the way we're going to rig this is very similar to how a real car would work. So the first thing we need to do is attach each tire to the body of the car using suspension, like you'd have in a real car. So what we're going to be using is we're going to be using dynamics. So we're going to go to simulate dynamics and we're going to use connectors. But first of all, we need to get rid of a few things. So I'm just going to keep tire number 1 and I'm going to delete tire 2, 3 and 4, just so we can work on this one first of all, and then we'll copy and paste it. It makes everything quicker. Also, I'm going to remove tire and body outside the VW Golf group and just leave it there for now. Now first things, I want to connect this tire here to the body of this car. So I'm going to go to simulate dynamics and I'm going to click on connector. Just move this connector down underneath tire here, this tire, and click on connector, go to object and then go to type, and on the drop down menu select wheel suspension. So now it's dropped the wheel suspension, but as a preset it would have dropped it in the middle or in the center of the weld. What we're going to do now is we need to have the connector and the tire both on the same coordinates, just to give you a much better wheel motion. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both of them. So I'm going to hold shift and click on tire, and then I'm going to go to character, commands and preset PSR. What this would do now is it would put both of them at 0 coordinates. So if you look at the connector, it's got 0 coordinates. If we look at the tire, also 0 coordinates. Obviously now it has mispositioned the tire or the wheel, so we need to just move it back just by using these axis arrows here. So just select both of them and just move both of them back to the correct position. I'm gonna use the different views just to help me position it correctly. So I'm happy with this positioning like this, as you can see. So now I'll put both of them in a null object just to keep them both on the same coordinates and so they don't get moved accidentally. So I'll just select control and click on both of them, and then I'm going to go Alt G, which should put them in a null object, and I'm going to name this front left. This will be much easier when I come to copy and paste and I have 4 wheels. I'll know which one's which. Now we need to connect both the tire and the connector to the body. So the first thing, we click on the connector and we go to object. Now here it tells us object A and object B. So it's asking us, what do you want to connect? So we want to connect the body, which is object A, to the tire, which is object B. So now it should have connected them. Now we have to do a quick test to find out if this connection has worked. So what I do is I right click on tire, go to simulation tags and add rigid body. Now we've added physical dynamics to the tire, which makes it act like as if it's in the real world, so it'll give it gravity and friction and different forces obviously you can control from here. We'll cover that later on. And also I'll go to the body, and I'll go to simulate, and I'll add the same thing, rigid body. So now both tyre and the body are connected, and they both have real life dynamics. So now I need to add a floor just to act as a collision object, and I'm going to right click, simulation tags, and I'm going to add a collider body. So this will stop the car from just dropping down and getting lost. And now just to test the connection between the wheel here and the body, I'm just going to click play, and obviously it just looks a bit odd, but it has worked because the tyre hasn't flown out. I'll show you what it looks like without a connector. So this is what happened if there was no connector. Obviously I'll select the connector, and you can see the reason it's doing this is because there's only one tyre on the car. So what we need to do now is we're going to need to copy and paste this wheel, the whole group. We click on the object here, the null object, and copy and paste it 4 times. So I'm going to hold control and then click on front left here, and I'm just going to drag it down, and this will give me a copy now. So I'll move this copy back here, and this will be the rear tyre. Obviously I'll check the positioning and make sure it's correct using different views here, so I'll adjust it. Now I'm going to rename the group, to rear left, and I need to go to connector here and add this tyre, because this tyre 1 here is the tyre 1 that we had in the front, so it's connecting this one. So we need to make sure it's the tyre in this group, not in this group here. So just drag it in here. Now a good way so we don't get confused is just to rename this tyre 2. So now we also need to test the dynamics in this one. Yep, they're connected. And now we need to do the same thing, copy and paste. So hold control, click, and just drag down. Now we've got the copy. Now I need to position it correctly, so I'm going to drag it across, place it here, and then position it correctly. And now if you look carefully, you can see that this wheel, because we copied it and dragged it along, is actually the wrong way around. This is actually the inside of the alloy. So what we need to do is just go into this, click on tyre, and just go to coordinates, and here I think it will be minus 180. Yep, that's done it. And what we also need to do is rename this, so this is rear right, and this will be tyre number 3. So we go to connector here, and it's already picked it up. It's quite good. So now we need to make sure that this is connected correctly. Yeah. Okay, so one more copy. So again, control, click and drag down, and we'll move it up to the front here and rename it front right. And this one will be tyre number 4. Now I'm going to need to go to this view so I can make sure it's parallel with the tyre on the other side. As you can see, this is the tyre on the other side, the dark one, and the white one here is the one that I've selected. So what I need to do is I need to position it just like that, so they're parallel. And now the connector is on, so if we click play, you have the connectors working. So now what we need to do now is the connectors have now attached all the wheels to the body, but as you can see here, this looks nothing like a real car. The reason is the suspension needs to be adjusted to the correct numbers. So we open up all these groups here, so front left, rear right, and front right. And I'm going to select all the connectors here, all the suspension connectors here, all 4 of them. I click control and select each one. So as you can see, I've selected all 4 here. and I go into suspension. Now here I have under object, I have a few settings here that I can play around with. Obviously this depends what kind of vehicle you're modeling. You need to adjust, and you can play around with this and create all sorts of different things. But right now, for this, we need to keep the steering angle at 0 degrees for now. Keep the suspension rest position at 0 centimeters, and the suspension stiffness, we will bring that up to 25, and the damping, we'll bring it up to 75. And this is just a little experiment, so now we're going to see what happens. So straight away you will see that there's a big difference, but it might need a little bit more adjusting. So we'll bring the damping maybe a little bit less, so to 65. And maybe the suspension stiffness to 20. So far I think this works for me. Now one more thing we need to adjust is the friction on the floor and the friction on the tires. The way we adjust that is we click on the dynamics objects. So we select the floor dynamics object, the dynamics tag, sorry, not the object, and we hit control and we select the dynamics tags on all of the tires, tire 1, tire 2, tire 3, tire 4. We just leave out the body, and then we go to collision, and under collision we go to this section here and we select friction, and we bring that up to 150. Obviously you can adjust this depending on what kind of scene you're trying to, what kind of actions you're trying to achieve. Then we close all the groups and we'll just hit play. Now what this does is it just gives it a more realistic grip, gives the tires a more realistic grip to the floor. Now our next step is adding motors and giving this car some motion. So what we need to do now is we need to put, first of all, organize our objects here a little bit. So we need to put both front tires next to each other. This will just make things easier when we're adjusting steering and the motion of the car. So we'll go to simulate. To add the motor, we'll go to simulate, dynamics, and here you see motor. Click on the motor and we'll select object. It's asking you here under object, click on motor, object, and it's asking you for object A. So similar to the connector earlier on, so object A would be the body of the car, and object B, you open the front left tire group, so you have to open the group and select the tire here. You must select this one and not select the group or anything else, just select the tire. So select tire 1, so go back to motor, select tire 1 and drag it into object B. Now we need to do a quick test before we move on. So actually I think this is a VW, so I think this should be a rear wheel drive. I'm not quite sure, so I'll clear this and I'll go to the rear left tire, and here tire 2, I'll drag tire 2 into body. I think this is more realistic because VWs, I think, are rear wheel drive. I'm not quite sure. So we click and there seems to be, yep, there seems to be a bit of motion, so that seems to be working. Obviously we've only got motion going on to one wheel, this wheel down here, so what we need to do is just make it happen with the other wheel here. So what we're going to do is again hold control, click on the motor and drag. Now I've copied it, so this is called motor 1. I'll just rename it to motor 2, and the first one, just call it motor 1. So we'll go back to motor 2, and here we're going to open up the second rear tire group, the rear right, and we're going to drag tire 3 into the body. So now we've got both tires are in motion. If you want to check obviously which tires are in motion, just hold control and select both of them, and you get this these arrows telling you which tires are in motion. So we click play now, and you can see there's a little bit of movement. What I'm going to increase here, I'm just going to increase the time frame here. I'm going to increase that to 250 just so we can see more of this animation. And and I think I'm going to go back here to the floor, and I am going to bring down the friction to 100, and now I'm going to click play. Obviously this car's a little bit bouncy, it is moving. So what we need to do now is we have to check that all tires are moving. Sometimes the tires would jam because of mistakes that we haven't picked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each tire, and control and select all the tires. And what I can see now is I can see the polygons, and I can see if they're moving or not. So if I hit play, you can see, so these tires look fine, and on the other side you can see all the tires are moving in a correct circular motion. So let's close the groups, and one more thing is the speed and the power of the motors. So we'll select both motors here, and under object we'll go to the bottom part here where it says angular target speed. So we'll put that up to 3000, and this one here, I can't really pronounce it, we'll put that up to 100, and we'll press play, and you can see straight away this car is moving at a much better speed. Just zoom out here so you get a better view. So if you press play, yep, the car's, obviously you can adjust it to do much higher speed, so put 500 there, and as you can see now it's going at a much better speed. Now one more thing is left, which is the steering. So what we need to do for the steering is go into the front tire groups, so both the groups, the front left and the front right, open them up, select both connectors, click on the first one, then click control and click on the second one, and go to steering angle here. So this one we need to animate, so I'd let it play for a bit, so let it move for a while, and then maybe here at 80, frame 80, I want it to steer. So I'm going to hold control and click on this little circle here, and it's going to turn red. So now that it's placed a tag here in the time frame, and I'm going to drag it along to 100, and then I'm going to adjust it here to 25, or should I say 30 degrees steering angle, and then I'm going to hit control and click this button again. Obviously because this is real life dynamics, it wouldn't change straight away, so what I have to do is I have to move this back and press play to see the difference. So here, yeah, as you can see, it has steered correctly. So if you press play, now I'll go back to the connectors, and so I want this car to straighten up, so I press play to check where it steers. 80, 100, so 120, I hold control and I hit this circle again, and then I take it down back to 0, and I move it up to 130, and sorry, so 130, and then I hit control. Let me check. Yep. So move it back and press play again. So that's straightened up. Obviously all the settings that I play around with here, the ones in the motors, the speed, and the attachments and the objects you can attach, also the suspension. There's loads and loads of options here you can play around with, see what you can adjust, see what you can create. There's loads of things you can do with this. Also, if you go to the dynamic simulation tags here, you can set different frictions. Let's say if you want the car to brake, or if you want the car to skid, so you can play around the friction, the bounce, all these options here. But for now, this is it, just to show you the dynamics response in Cinema 4D. I'm going to close all the groups here, and then I'm going to attach. I'm going to insert a cylinder object, and I'm going to basically make a quick speed bump here. Just move it down and sort of stretch it out, and then obviously if I press play now, the car's just going to go through it, as you can see, because there is no dynamics collider on this cylinder here. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna go to simulate. First of all, click on the cylinder. Sorry, select the cylinder. Simulate dynamics. Sorry, select the cylinder. Right click, simulation tags, and go to collider body. So now there is a collider. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go back down here and adjust the friction to 150, same as what we had on the tires. And then now if I press play, you'll see that there would be a response. There we go. That's all for now. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you.